What's up everybody, you're very welcome along to my season's predictions. I'm going to have a go at trying to predict the top 9 places in the Premier League, who's going to finish in the bottom 3, who's going to win the FA Cup, who's going to win the League Cup, Champions League, Europa League, and all the other bits and pieces that you usually get in these season prediction videos. Now the good news about this is we all get to look back at this in 6, 7 or 8 months time and laugh at quite how wrong I was, and we all get to have a look at the comment section of people saying what a mug I am and how I don't know about football. But that's all part of the fun, isn't it? That's why we make these type of videos, because even I will look back at this and laugh at how wrong I was on some of these decisions. But I'm going to get stuck straight into it. I'm going to go to relegation places first. The team that I think are going to finish bottom of the Premier League table are Watford. I just don't see them being strong enough in any area to stay up in the Premier League. People might think I'm being really harsh, but to me, Watford are going to be going back down to the Championship and I will finish bottom of the pile. In 19th place, it is another promoted club, a club that have actually built themselves a shiny new stadium, a club whose striker has broken records in the Championship. I am, of course, talking about Brentford. I want Brentford to do well, I genuinely do, but it isn't a shock that a lot of clubs that come up immediately do go back down. Yes, there are some exceptions to the rule, but for me, I'm going to have Brentford finishing in 19th place and going, unfortunately, back down to the Championship. And again, I do want Brentford to do well, I really do. I just have a feeling that it might be too much for them. Looking at the business that they've done, nothing really stands out to me. Yes, Ivan Toney is the great unknown. Can he carry that goal scoring record through that he has through the other divisions all the way up to the Premier League? That remains to be seen. But for me, 19th place Brentford. And the last relegation spot is a club who I think have managed to get away with this for so long. I don't know how, and I have a feeling that this will be the season that catches up with them. I am going for Sean Dyche and Burnley to finish in 18th place and be relegated from the Premier League down to the Championship. Again, a club who have done really well on a very small budget, with a small stadium, with a good manager in Dyche who's been able to keep them in the Premier League, but I just think it will eventually catch up. And for me, this is the season where they go down and they become a Championship club. Whether they come straight back up again, hey, who knows? But to me, bottom 3, 20th place Watford, 19th place Brentford, and in 18th Burnley. They're the clubs that I think are going to be relegated. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the part where I try and predict the top 9 places in the Premier League, or the top half of the Premier League. I'm going to start at 9th place, and a club who have done some decent business. I'm going for Arsenal to finish in 9th place. Yes, I think people are going to think I'm being really harsh and really cruel here. People are going to point to the fact that they have no European football to distract them. They've signed Ben White, they brought in a couple of other decent players as well, but I still think this is where Arsenal are right now, and I don't think, unless something dramatic happens between now and the end of the window, that they'll be realistically challenging for the higher places in the table. So it probably is a small bit harsh to have them as low down as 9th, but I'm standing by it and I'm going to put Arsenal in 9th position in the table. 8th place, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give to Liverpool's Merseyside rivals, Everton. Rafa Benitez will come in there and I think he will steady things. Yes, of course, Carlo Ancelotti did a good job, but they did lose a good manager. There is a bit of instability at the club right now. Some people aren't happy about Rafa's appointment. Some people are over the moon, but their business hasn't been anything great. I just think Rafa, his knowledge of the Premier League, his tactical nous will see Everton finish in the top half of the table. 8th could be a little bit low. If they can get a bit of business done before the end of the window, I think that maybe, Everton could sneak up a place or so. But as it stands, I'm going to go for Everton in 8th place, just ahead of Arsenal in 9th. 7th place are my surprise package of the season, and a team who I think have done great business both in what they've sold and in who they've bought, and that's Aston Villa. Yes, we know that they lost Jack Grealish, and that is an unbelievable loss to them, but they also have added really well in the players like Buendia, like Leon Bailey, that they've brought in on top of the likes of John McGinn that are already there, Traore, Ollie Watkins, Danny Ings I think was a fantastic piece of business, and Dean Smith knows what this group is about. So I'm not going to say that they're the surprise package of the season, because I think a club like Aston Villa, a club that were historically a very big club, have found their way back to the top division of English football. And I think as the seasons go on, with good ownership like they have, they'll look to push for those European places. So for me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to put Aston Villa to finish the season in 7th place. Now we move up into 6th place, and this is where we get into the territory of people starting to get offended or people wondering why I have them in this order. In 6th place, I'm going to go for Spurs, and I think I may even be a little bit generous in that. We don't know what the situation is with Harry Kane. They've brought in a new manager in Nuno who isn't the most exciting, attacking, free-flowing manager. Spurs fans may not have liked Mourinho's style. I think with Nuno you may see something very similar. The only benefit to it is maybe Matt Doherty will be a little bit more impactful under Nuno. You know, if they can keep Harry Kane, if Harry Kane can produce, yes, Spurs can maybe look at challenging a little bit higher, but tying Son down to a new deal, the business that they've done, it's okay. You know, they've moved on Lamela, who was never really all that great for them. They've brought in the guy Gill from Sevilla. They've brought in a goalkeeper obviously as well, and along with an option to buy, and they brought in a good centre back in Romero who had a very good Copa America as well with Argentina. So for me, Spurs solid 6th place finish. The distraction of the Europa Conference League, it's a bit of an unknown quantity how big of a distraction that's going to be. So for me, 6th place finish for Spurs, and you can probably guess where the next 5 are going, can't you? It's no great mystery. In 5th place, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go for Leicester City, a club who have once again gone under the radar and done some very good business in the transfer window. Agonisingly missed out on Champions League places for the last couple of seasons, but they've gone out there and they've brought Samari in for 17 million. They've gone out and they've signed Patson Daka, who I think will score goals for them in the Premier League, and a very shrewd acquisition as well in Ryan Bertrand to give them competition down that left hand side as well. Add to that the talent they already have at the club in Jamie Vardy, Yuri Tielemans, Ndidi, James Maddison. You look at the addition they've just made of Vestergaard. That news only broke before I started to record this. They've got Soyuncu in there, as I've said. They've got a very good keeper in Kasper Schmeichel. Great owners, a good manager. Lots of reasons to be positive and optimistic for Leicester City fans. Unfortunately for them, I just feel that they are still that one step behind the 4 clubs that we all assume are going to make up the top 4 positions. So I think a good strong showing from Leicester again in the Premier League, but ultimately I think that they will finish in 5th position. Little bit of a spoiler though for any Leicester fans. Don't worry, I've got something that I think might make you happy coming up a little bit later on in the video, so please do make sure to stay tuned. 4th place, ladies and gentlemen, I see going to Manchester United. And look, it's a toss-up which way the top 4 goes. I mean, a lot of people are predicting the top 2 to be Chelsea and Manchester City in whatever order, but I think Liverpool last season, we finished 3rd, we didn't do too well. United had a good season, but they have gone out and strengthened. The signing of Sancho and Rafael Varane, 2 very good pieces of business. Marcus Rashford obviously will be out for a while after getting that shoulder injury, I think it is, sorted out. But I think all in all, United will stay in the Champions League positions. You know, some United fans might think I'm being a little bit rude putting them in 4th place, but I honestly am doing this with my genuine belief of the fact that I think the other 3 clubs will finish ahead of them. So United, I think comfortably will get a Champions League place. Who knows how far they'll go in the actual Champions League itself. Some more business may be done before the end of the window, but I genuinely feel 4th place is where we'll see Manchester United finishing this season. In 3rd place, ladies and gentlemen, and just to show you that I'm not entirely deluded, I have gone for my club, Liverpool. Yes, we've brought in Ibrahima Konate and we do have Van Dijk and Gomez coming back. Harvey Elliott's burst onto the scene. I'm expecting more stuff from Curtis Jones. Alisson Becker, great news on his new contract. Trent has signed on. Even though Robbo is out for the start of the season, it looks like in Costa Simicas we finally have left back cover there of a quality level. And I think we'll do more business before the window closes, but even working off the squad that we have right now, if we cannot pick up any serious injuries, by that I mean through key parts of our squad like Van Dijk, Alisson, Mohamed Salah, I think that 3rd place is probably me being on the cautious side because we have the potential to challenge further up. But I think 3rd place finish is realistic with where we are right now, and you know, I hope for a few additions obviously before the transfer window closes. In 2nd place, I have to say this was a really difficult decision. I wrestled back and forth between which one of Manchester City and Chelsea I think will actually go on to win the Premier League. I think Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea will want to win it, having won the Champions League, obviously. And ironically, I think Manchester City will probably want to go and win the Champions League, having missed out so narrowly last year to Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea. But I still think over the course of a 38-game season, Manchester City's consistency will see out, and I see Chelsea finishing as runners-up in the Premier League, with ultimately that meaning, of course, that Manchester City, with the addition of Jack Grealish and who knows, maybe Harry Kane to come, I do think you'll see more excellence from Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne putting on masterclass after masterclass. And look, they are a very, very, very good side, as much as it pains me to admit it. So I do see Manchester City going on to defend their crown as Premier League champions. And that's my top 9, ladies and gentlemen. Now we move on to the other competitions, and let's start. Actually, do you know what? We won't. We'll go on to top scorer. And this one I have to give you a bit of a caveat, because if Harry Kane moves to City, I do think Harry Kane will be the Premier League's top scorer. But I'm working off the assumption that he hasn't and that he may not. And with that in mind, I believe Mohamed Salah will finish the season with the Golden Boot. Mohamed Salah has done incredible numbers since he's come to Liverpool. People might think I'm overhyping him, but every year he has been there or thereabouts challenging for the Golden Boot. And yes, he hasn't scored in pre-season, but he looks lean, he looks mean, he looks hungry, and he looks happy, healthy and fit. So I think Mohamed Salah is going to go on and win the Golden Boot for the season ahead. Next up, I'm going to go for Player of the Season. And again, a very difficult one to predict. You've got a Premier League full of so many great quality players right now. You've obviously got Kevin De Bruyne, you've got Kai Havertz, you've got Bruno Fernandes, Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah. And look, I know I'm missing out on probably 25 other names that I haven't got time to go through. But the gist of it is, there's a lot of good players in the Premier League, and picking who's going to be Player of the Season is very difficult, because one, it'll have to be probably a club that are pushing at the top end of the table, and injuries will have to play in this person's side. But I have gone for the rather obvious one in Kevin De Bruyne. I think will be the Premier League Player of the Season this year. Young Player of the Season, you could probably name a whole host of players, some of whom we may not even think of yet, because we will be surprised by them coming out throughout the season. You've obviously got a lot of great youngsters. You've got your Jadon Sanchos, you've got your Phil Fodens, you've got your Harvey Elliott's, you've got your Bukayo Sakos. There's so many of them, so many I could sit here all day. But I do think we will see one specific Englishman stand out this year, and I do think that Jadon Sancho will win the Young Player of the Season or Young Player of the Year award. I've got a feeling that he's going to fit right in at Old Trafford, unfortunately, and I'm expecting a massive season as well from Phil Foden at Manchester City. But because he's new, because he's shiny, I'm just going to go for Jadon Sancho to be the Young Player of the Year. Let's move on to the domestic cups now, ladies and gentlemen, and let's start with the League Cup. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will finally win his first trophy at Manchester United, and I think Manchester United will win the League Cup. I don't think they're quite strong enough to go and win the Champions League. I don't think they're ready to go and win the Premier League. I do think they will win a domestic cup, and it had to be one of the two, so I said let's give them the League Cup. So I think Manchester United are my prediction to go and win the League Cup. The FA Cup, ladies and gentlemen, is it as prestigious as it once was? I don't know. I honestly go back and forth on this one and I struggle. But I do have to predict a winner for it, and I've gone for Chelsea. Thomas Tuchel's men obviously off the back of a Champions League winning campaign. As I record this, they've just lifted the Super Cup as well. And I think that they'll be hungry and want to carry on that quest for more silverware. They do have the Club World Championship, which will maybe derail some of their season. I know it certainly impacted Liverpool's when we went over and played in it. So I think that Chelsea won't quite have enough to win the Premier League, which is why I had them in second, but I do think that they will win the FA Cup. So my prediction for the FA Cup, Chelsea to lift the trophy. Now, a bit of a wild card one. I threw in something that I wasn't going to do in this. I don't usually do the first manager to be sacked, but on this occasion, I think I will do it. So, for me, the guess at the first manager to be sacked is Xisco, the Watford manager. And yeah, we could make a thong song joke here, but genuinely, I think Watford are going to be in trouble this year. And I think Xisco, the Watford manager, knowing the Pozzi family and the way that they operate, I get a feeling that he will be the first manager out the door. It was a toss-up between him and Steve Bruce, but with Steve Bruce I think it's only if Newcastle get that takeover agreed. So I'm hedging my bets here, but I'm going with Xisco, the Watford manager, to be the first managerial casualty of the new Premier League campaign. Now we'll move on to the European competitions, ladies and gentlemen. And let's start with the newbie, the Europa Conference League. And I had to do a bit of research to actually see what teams had already qualified for it, because there are still qualifying rounds going on as we speak, but some teams are guaranteed their place in the competition already. And looking at the list of contenders there, yes, Spurs are in it, but a certain Portuguese man has gone to a certain club and he likes winning trophies to add to his CV. And yes, this isn't one of the more glamorous ones, but it is a trophy that he hasn't won because nobody's won it yet. So I'm going to back Roma and Jose Mourinho to go on and win the Europa Conference League. If you disagree with that, let me know in the comment section below. But I do know he does love a trophy, particularly in his first year of the club. So I'm going to go for Roma to win the Europa Conference League. Second to last one now, ladies and gentlemen, and it's the Europa League. Now, loads of contenders for this one. Always a very difficult competition to pick a winner from because we don't know who's going to drop out of the Champions League down into the Europa League. So what I will say is I've gone for a club that are already in the competition and not looking for someone that may drop out of the Champions League. So with that in mind, I promised Leicester City fans, stay tuned, that I think you will be happy with this. I have a feeling this could be the one for Leicester City. Brendan Rodgers has always had it held against him that when it comes to European competition, it's when he shits the bed. It's when he overthinks things. When he was at Liverpool, it was aimed at him. When he was at Celtic, it was aimed at him. And when he's been at Leicester before, it's been something that's been aimed at him. I think Leicester will fall short in their quest for an automatic Champions League place, but if they can keep the likes of Yuri Tielemans, Harvey Barnes, and keep those players fit throughout the season, I will give them as good a chance as anybody to win the Europa League and then get themselves a place in the Champions League. So it's a bit of an outsider, it's a bit of a long shot, but I genuinely do believe it. So I'm going to go for Leicester City to win the Europa League and for the English dominance of the major European competitions to pretty much continue. I've left the biggest one till last, ladies and gentlemen. The Champions League. Oh, big ears. The European Cup, whatever you want to call it. Probably the most difficult of all of them to predict because one red card, one City penalty, anything can change the course of it. We know the away goals rule has been taken out as well. So it is a gamble and you can make arguments for a lot of clubs. Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain, of course, with the signing of Messi. They've got Messi, Neymar and Mbappe as I record this. On top of the likes of Varane, Di Maria, Gini Wijnaldum, Hakimi, Donnarumma. The list goes on and on and on. But yet I still don't think they'll win the Champions League. I think the same factor that I believe has stopped them winning it will continue to stop them winning it. And that is the fact that they don't have enough genuine competition week in and week out in the French First Division. Now people are going to say, Craig, Lille won it last year. I get you, but that's even more of a slight on Paris Saint-Germain. They do have Mauricio Pochettino in charge now for the full season. They do have Leo Messi, who'll be wearing the number 30 shirt, but I still think they're going to come short. Next, Bayern Munich, a club that you can never rule out of European competition. They've got themselves a new manager. Hansi Flick has obviously gone on and taken over the German national team job. So yeah, they've got a young manager in there now, a young manager that started out with Hoffenheim and worked his way up. And they do have a lot of time for him. So I do think that Julian Nagelsmann will do a good job, but I still don't go for Bayern Munich. It's going to be an English club for me, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's just a matter of which one. I don't think Manchester United are there just yet. I refuse to ever believe or want to be in the world where Manchester City lift the European Cup, so I don't even want to entertain it. Chelsea, it's very difficult to go back to back and retain these things, so I've gone for Liverpool, because on a European night at Anfield, anybody can crumble. We've seen it happen to the best. And if there's one competition that I always have faith in our boys in, one competition where I do think Anfield can make the difference, it is old big ears. It is the European Cup. Call me bold, call me arrogant, call me what you want, but I'm going to predict Liverpool to go on and win the Champions League this season. That has been my predictions for the season ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know your thoughts on everything that I've spoken about in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Drop a like on the video as well. We'll have lots of great content coming your way throughout the season. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly have. Talk to you soon. Take care. Lots of love.